Hello and good morning, and thank you for joining me today. This is Rich Harshaw. I am the founder and CEO of Monopolize Your Marketplace. We are a company that specializes in remodeling contractor marketing. So if you're here today to learn about that, you're in the right place. As you can see on your screen, we've got a very interesting topic. In fact, if you've been on some of these webinars before, I'll tell you this just right off the top of the webinar, we've got more attendees and more interest in this topic. So I think we've hit a little bit of nerve with this idea of overcoming price resistance, closing sales faster at higher prices with less resistance. And you know what? I'm going to deliver on this webinar today. You're going to get done with this webinar and you're going to say to yourself, I am glad I was on that webinar because this is some interesting stuff. It's some worthwhile stuff and it's going to make a difference for you. So with that said, let's go ahead and get rolling on this. I'm going to do a quick technical check here. Okay, and we should be live at Budokan. I do want to take just a moment to recognize a couple of our sponsors that are responsible for helping us put this webinar together today. Of course, MarketSharp has been with us for close to 10 years now, and we'll be hearing a little bit from MarketSharp later on today in the presentation. Also, Qualified Remodeler would like to thank them for their participation. I've done a lot of events with them. You can actually find many of the articles that I've written on their website. So we'll talk about them here in just a minute as well. We are going to do a giveaway today, so if you'll stay with me till the very end of the webinar, I will be giving away 3 copies of a book I wrote called Monopolize Your Marketplace, and you must be present to win. So stick around for that. I do want to just give a quick shout out to the first of our 2 sponsors right now, Qualified Remodeler. If you want to check them out, you can go to 4residentialpros.com. Many of you, maybe even most of you, are already subscribers to this magazine. If you're not, I strongly recommend it. Also, their website, 4residentialpros.com, I've got a screenshot of it on my screen right now. So go take a look at that. There is some good information on there on a multitude of topics related to remodeling, sales, marketing, production, quality, and everything else you can think of. So go check that out. And I'd like to thank one more time Qualified Remodeler Magazine and 4residentialpros.com for sponsoring this. And if you'll do me a favor, these kinds of webinars are not possible without these sponsors. So if you'll do me a favor after this webinar and just shoot a quick note to whichever sponsor invited you and let them know what you thought of the webinar and thanking them, assuming you liked it, for putting this kind of presentation and making it available for you today, okay? Before we get started, just a few notes for you, and I want you to pay really, really close attention right now because I don't usually give this slide, but because of the nature of the presentation today, I'm going to go through a couple of preliminaries. We're going to cover a lot of stuff today, and I mean a lot. I'm going to go, it says pretty fast on there, but I'm going to go really fast. So if you're the kind of person that wants to sort of absorb it and take it in, this may be a little bit of a challenge for you because I am going to go fast. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. Do me a favor, do yourself a favor, get the cell phone off, close the door in the office, whatever you have to do, quit browsing your Yahoo Mail and all that kind of stuff. Just pay real close attention, have a pen and paper ready, take notes on this, and I want you to evaluate as we go through this how you're doing on the stuff that we're talking about. I want you to look at what I'm saying, and I want you to compare it versus what you're doing right now and say to yourself, either I'm doing well or there's probably some room for improvement, and make notes on where you can improve. I'm going to take some Q&A at the end if we have time, okay? These webinars usually go about 75, 80 minutes, and then I usually do about 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A. We'll do that if I have time. If we don't have time, we may not do that. We also will post this webinar on our website, mymonline.com. You should all know where that is because I think you had to go there to register. But by COB, close of business today, we'll have this posted on there so you can go back, check it, have other people in your office watch it, whatever you want to do with it. It'll be there, and you can participate that way. Okay, so let's get to the topic here. Got a picture here on the screen. This is the remodeler. He's trying to remodel this guy's kitchen. He just got to the end of the presentation. He pulled out his bid. It's $47,400, and the homeowner's hiding in fear underneath the kitchen sink because it's a lot more than he thought. And this is really sort of the root of what we're talking about today, overcoming price resistance. So we got to understand, why does it occur? Then I'll talk to you about some of the solutions people try to use to overcome price resistance, and then I'll give you the real answer of how you actually can make this happen for you. So here's what you've got to understand. When it comes to remodeling, a couple of big important concepts. Number one, nobody really knows how much it should cost, and I want you to consider how unique that is. How often do you go into a purchase, any kind of a purchase, let alone a major purchase, without having any idea whatsoever what it's going to cost? Probably the only major corollary would be medical types of things. You go in for surgery. I mean, who knows how much that's going to cost, but usually it's covered by insurance, so you don't really care. But you don't have remodeling insurance. You don't have a new roof insurance. You don't have, siding insurance. So people don't know, and because they don't know how to judge value. They don't know. They don't know what makes a good roof versus a bad roof. The only question they know how to ask is how much. I'll give you a quick story. This goes back 20 years ago almost. We're working with a local here in Texas roofing company, very large roofing company. They were doing about $50 million a year in sales. And out of all those sales, they didn't do any Yellow Pages advertising. And back in those days, 20 years ago, Yellow Pages, there was probably something like 30 pages of roofing companies in the Yellow Pages, and they would not participate. They just had a little teeny line listing that they'd give you for free. Millions and millions of dollars of sales, no Yellow Pages ad. And I asked the owner, why don't you have a Yellow Pages ad? Because back in those days, we had really good success with Yellow Pages ads. We've now transferred that success over to the internet. But in those days, it was Yellow Pages. And the owner looked at me and he said, we don't advertise on the Yellow Pages because all of the calls that come from the Yellow Pages are for low dollar shoppers, bargain basement shoppers, and all they care about is how much does it cost. Whenever they call, all they want to know is how much does it cost. And then they get mad if we don't give them a price over the phone. He says it's dumb and we just don't do it. And I said, I find it almost impossible to believe that all the dumb, stupid, broke people that have no money would somehow find their way to the Yellow Pages. Meanwhile, all the really smart, rich people would not go to the Yellow Pages. I said, here's the problem. When you go to the Yellow Pages, back in those days, okay, again, this is not obviously not a Yellow Pages webinar, but in those days, when people went to the Yellow Pages, they looked at the ad, and when they called, the reason they asked, how much does it cost, is real simple. They didn't know what other questions to ask. How would somebody know what to ask a roofing company other than how much is it going to cost? How would they even possibly know what to ask about? And I told them the reason you're getting that question is not because people are dumb and stupid and broke. It's because your advertisement, your marketing isn't setting the stage properly to help people understand what the value is, what to look for, what to watch out for when hiring a roofing company. And of course, this applies to all kinds of remodelers, whether you're selling kitchens or baths or windows or siding or decks or sunrooms, roofing, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same situation. So here's what happens. People show up in your sales meeting at their house. You show up, and they've got an anticipated price range, how much they think this thing is supposed to cost, and it's always going to be a lot lower than your actual price, right? They're thinking in their mind for this new roof, $5,000, $6,000, and it's really $13,000, and it's half. Their anticipated price range is half as much as it really is. And what happens? They go haywire, and it has nothing to do, in most cases, with can they afford it? Do they have the money? Are they willing to put the money towards it? It has more to do with, I didn't know how much it was going to cost, and you're asking for a lot more. The other problem that we see, right, is you've got a good price. Say it's $13,000, and other competitors come in at $12,000 and $11,000, and now you're competing on this $1,000 to $2,000, which is your margin, and you struggle to compete against these other guys, and you're more expensive. And I'm going on a premise in this webinar, for the entire webinar, which is you sell at high prices, you're higher than average, and in fact, you may even be the very highest. Now, you don't have to be the very highest for this stuff to work, but I'm assuming that you're either above average or on the very high end, and if that's the case, this stuff is going to make a huge, huge, huge difference for you, okay? Now, here's what happens in the end, right? Unrealistic expectations, disappointment, price pressure, right? Buyers are liars. They look at you and they say, oh, well, my brother's my financial advisor and he's got to approve this before I can spend that kind of money. And it's really just a lie to cover up the fact that inside they're saying, they didn't realize it was going to be that much money. Okay. So let's get to the bottom of this. Think about it this way. How many times have you ever bought a car in your life? Okay. I sat down the other day and I wrote a list of all the cars that I've either bought personally or I've driven, back in the early days, my dad gave me a yellow pickup and on up till the car I drive now. I purchased a vehicle 21 times. 21 times. And I'm only 45 years old. I've got 6 kids. That probably has something to do with it. 3 of them are driving. But here's the situation. Here's what I want you to realize. Most things, you know how to judge value, right? Okay, we look at what does it look like? What is the horsepower? What about the safety ratings? What about the gas mileage that it gets? And all these things we kind of know because we've done it. But let me ask you this. What if you walked into the piano store to buy a piano? Would you have any idea what to look for or to ask about? Do you have any idea what makes a good piano versus a bad piano? You don't know. How would you know something like that? You've never bought one before. And I'm here to tell you that all of your prospects, let's just round it off to 0, okay? I know it's a few of your customers have bought before, but the vast majority of people that come to you looking for replacement windows, they've never bought replacement windows before. They have no idea how much it costs. They've been to Home Depot maybe, and they saw that they're $139 there. So, I mean, you're going to install them, you're going to bring them out, so you're probably, what, $200. They don't know. How would they know? And then you show up at their house and you tell them it's $750 or $1,300 per window, and they have a heart attack, and you think that they're broken stupid. And you think, I've got to find richer, more well-qualified buyers. But the reality is there could be rich, well-qualified buyers that have no idea how much windows should cost. Because here's the key thing. How on earth would they possibly know that? So here's some of the things that companies try to do sometimes to sort of solve this problem. The first one is improve their targeting and their advertising. Okay, well, we got to eliminate all the broke people, and we'll just focus on this magazine that goes only to really rich people. And that's good, but it's an incomplete solution, because even within the rich people, the majority of your prospects don't know how to judge value when it comes to remodeling solutions. They just don't. And furthermore, again, if you're remodeling a kitchen and your price is $50,000 and another quality competitor is $47,000, they're probably going to go with the $3,000 cheaper one. And here's why: because they don't know how to judge value. And I will tell you what I told that roofer all those many years ago that didn't want to advertise in the Yellow Pages. If you are getting beat up on price, it's your fault, not the prospect's fault. Don't assign the blame to them. Say, well, they're just stupid. They don't know. They're not stupid. How would they know? You know, you can help them judge value. It's your obligation, your responsibility to take the lead, help them understand so that they can actually make the best decision, okay? More sales training, we'll just train our people to beat them up. We'll, give sales pressure. We'll wear them down. We'll stay in their house for 3 hours till they give up and say yes. Pricing schemes, we'll offer it for this. Our list price is really high, and then we've got this really big discount that we'll give them. We'll kind of fool them into thinking they're getting a good deal. That's not what we want to do. Here's what we want to do. We want to have people understand, look, our price is high. Here's why it's high. If you don't buy from us, then here's what you're missing. And so that they clearly understand it the same way that you understand it. You set your prices where they are for a reason, right? Sometimes people will bring in the cost versus value argument. Look, according to this magazine, right, this new window is going to raise the value of your house. But see, that really doesn't solve the problem, right? Because they don't care that it's going to make their home value get higher. What they are wondering is, why are you $1,000 higher than the other guy? And why is it twice as much as I was expecting in the first place? Sometimes fancy high-end marketing materials, it looks really cool. It's really high-end, glossy, cool looking, and that's good. And I encourage that kind of thing, but it's an incomplete solution. It still doesn't overcome the hurdles of why is it so expensive, okay? Sometimes people want to rely strictly on their reputation. And, your reputation is good. Here's the problem with your reputation. The vast majority of the people that you're going to do business with, they don't know your reputation. They haven't done business with you for the last 32 years that you've been in business. In fact, they only moved here 4 years ago, and they only started noticing any remodeling companies, a couple weeks ago when they started deciding they wanted to do this thing. They don't know your reputation, okay? It's not like you're Geico and they've heard your advertisement 72,000 times in the last 5 minutes. People generally don't know your reputation. Some do, and that's great. Obviously, you want to have a good reputation, but it's not the end-all, be-all when it comes to this price kind of a situation, okay? Here's the goal. You want to make companies fall in love with you. You want to facilitate. We call this in marketing the F word of marketing. Facilitate their decision-making process. It's your job. It's your obligation to do that. You want them to know how to evaluate what's important, what to watch out for, so that they can feel like they're in control of the decision, like they are somewhat, not necessarily an expert, but they have enough working knowledge of what to look for that they can make a good decision, okay? You want them to understand why you're more expensive. You want them to feel in control. And again, you want them to fall in love with you. But here's the key thing right here. All of this before they ever meet you in person. Before. Here's what most people want to do. Well, I'll just wait till my salesperson gets out there. We got good sales training. We have good salespeople. We'll make this happen. You know what? You're going to miss fully 50% or more of all of the sales opportunities that you should have had if you don't price condition on the front end. They won't even set the appointment. You'll never even know they existed. You'll think, oh, well, we got 100 appointments and we closed 30%. That's awesome. You'll be patting yourself on the back. In reality, what you didn't know is you should have had 200 appointments and you should have been closing 40% instead of 30%. You should have had 80 sales instead of 30, and your business is less than half of what it should have been, and you didn't even know it. That's what happens if you don't do this stuff on the front end, okay? Sorry, getting a little worked up here. Here's what will happen. Clients are going to decide to buy from you before the sales meeting. Your sales meetings will go quicker. You'll have more one-call closes. Now, I know that's not appropriate for every single contractor that's on this webinar listening to me today. Some of you have 2- and 3-step processes, and it's necessary based on certain things. But a lot of you want more one-call closes. This is how to do it. Your prices will go up. You have less resistance. Your customers will be happier with their purchase after they paid you more money. Okay? You think Mercedes-Benz owners are driving around crying about how much they paid for their Mercedes instead of the Hyundai that they could have got? No, of course not. Absolutely not. They're wearing it, riding it, driving it, and they're proud. And that's what we want your customers to be, proud and happy. And then you make more money, okay? So how do you do it? All of that to get to this. How do you do it? There's 6 steps. I'll just put them on the screen here, and then we'll go through them one at a time. The first one, belief, creating what I call your ignition code. Second, identity. If you've been on my webinars with me before, you're familiar with this. I'll show you a familiar example. We're not going to dwell on it, but it is critical. Next, building a website that converts. Fourth, other pre-positioning materials, price conditioning in your advertising, and then using financing to reduce price resistance. These are the 6 things that we're going to cover. So let's jump right in and start with the lesson of the ignition code. This comes from a movie called The Transporter, starring this guy, Jason Statham. And you know, I'm not really into these sort of karate, kung fu, fight 'em, beat 'em up movies, but I saw this one. It's pretty interesting. I think it's almost 10 years old now or something like that. Here's the premise. I would show the video, but the video doesn't translate necessarily all that great over a webinar. It's a little bit choppy. So I'm just going to explain this to you so you understand it. This guy, the movie's called The Transporter. In the opening scene, you see this guy driving this black BMW through the streets of a city in France. And there's classical music playing, and he finally, after a few minutes and the credits are rolling, he pulls up in front of this building. They show a clock. It strikes 10 o'clock. It's light outside, so it must be 10 a.m. And then it pans down, and an alarm goes off, and these 4 guys run out of this building, which apparently now we're learning must be a bank, and 3 of them jump in the back seat of the BMW. Another guy jumps in the passenger seat of the BMW, and you realize this guy is the getaway driver, okay? He's the getaway driver. And they jump in the car, and they're all very agitated, of course, because they got the alarms going, the police guards are running out behind them, and the guy in the front seat, who's clearly the ringleader, looks at the driver, Jason Statham, and he says, "Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go." And the driver looks at him calmly, and he says, "Rule number 1, never change the deal. There's 4 of you." And the guy says, "Okay, good, you can count. So what? Let's go." And he says, "The deal was transportation for 3 men with a combined weight of 254 kilos. And the guy points his gun at him and says, "Well, this is the new deal." And then he looks at him again and he says, "An extra 80 kilos, right? See, are you understanding? They brought an extra person. There's supposed to be 3, but they put 4 in the car." He says, "An extra 80 kilos, which is how much a man weighs, means it means that we won't make it to the destination on the gas that I've allotted." And then the guy says, "Well, we'll just stop and get gas." And he says, "Every stop we make exposes us. Every exposure increases the risk of getting caught. An extra 80 kilos means that the Koni shock absorbers I've installed for this job will not give us the ability to outmaneuver the police that'll be chasing us, which means if there is a chase, we lose our advantage, which also increases the possibility of getting caught. I don't want to get caught. You don't want to get caught." And he looks right into the barrel of the pistol and he says, "I don't want to get caught." And the guy looks at him and says, "Drive this car right now, or you're going to catch a bullet to the brain. Are you sticking with me on this? I know it's kind of a long story, but it makes an extraordinarily important point. And he looks at the guy and he says, well, who's going to drive the car if you shoot me? And the guy in the back seat says, hey, just shoot this guy. I'll drive the car. And he looks at him and he says, not without the ignition code, you won't. And then everybody looks down, and in the middle console between the driver and the passenger, there's a keypad. And it becomes clearly obvious in a split second that you've got to punch in a code into this keypad for this automobile to start. Otherwise, it can't be driven. So in desperation, the ringleader turns around, backseat, shoots his own guy. They throw his body out of the car, and he looks at the driver and he says, okay, 3 men, 254 kilos. And the driver says, okay, seatbelts, and they start driving. What ensues is the most unbelievable car chase you've seen in any movie. It's really sort of ridiculous. They get away from the police after unbelievable maneuvering and driving and all this kind of stuff. But here's the point of this goofy story that I'm telling you about the ignition code. It's called, this guy was 100% in control of the situation because he absolutely knew that he had information and knowledge that they had to have in order for their operation to be successful that nobody else possessed. Now, here's my question for you. How do you feel about your company? How do you feel about it? Do you feel absolutely convicted that you have the best solution, bar none, period, no exceptions, for that homeowner that's sitting right in front of you? Because if you don't, you are dead meat. You're trying to sell at a higher price, but you don't believe that you have this quote-unquote ignition code. And here's what's going to happen. I'll show you this quote. It's from Lyndon B. Johnson. It says, what convinces is conviction. Believe in the argument you're advancing. If you don't, you're as good as dead. The other person will sense that something isn't there, and no chain of reasoning, no matter how logical or elegant or brilliant, will win your case for you. This is the first step. You have to absolutely, positively believe in your heart of heart and in your soul of souls that you have the best solution for that person that's sitting across the table from you. And if you don't, all of this price conditioning stuff, it's going to be minimized. It's going to fall flat, okay? Your ignition code, you have to know that you're better. What do you do that's quantifiably better than anybody else? What could you do or innovate to give yourself an ignition code level advantage? If you don't have an ignition code, then everything's going to fall flat. My advice to you, don't try to cater to everyone, okay? Draw a line in the sand and be the master of what you do. If you sell at a higher price, get rid of your low price, crappy offerings that you sell to people that can't afford the high dollar stuff. Focus in on those people and own it and master it and look them in the eye and say to them, this is the best value, period. If you don't buy from me, it's your loss. Now, you don't necessarily say it like that, but the conviction is communicated verbally, non-verbally, through your eyes, through your body language, through your voice tone, and that's going to be the first step. If you don't do that, I don't really have anything that's going to help you all that much. Everything else is going to be sort of second. So I'm giving you benefit of the doubt that you do that. With that being said, now we get into the marketing part of this, okay? The first part's up to you. I can't do that. The second part, third part, fourth part, I'm going to help you out with that, okay? You can't wait until the sales meeting to unveil your ignition code, this belief. You've got to do it before. You've got to communicate it with every single contact with your prospects. That starts with the advertising, your website, your pre-positioning materials. Of course, it continues when you actually sit down with them. The key is to identify your code and articulate it in a way that is impossible to miss. If they can't immediately tell why you're different or better or superior, then you're going to lose. Now, when I say immediately, I'm talking about immediately. Think about this from an advertising standpoint, from a website standpoint, from your home show booth standpoint. When people look at what you're presenting to them in terms of an advertisement, something they hear on TV or hear it on the radio, when they see your website, are they drawing a conclusion that says, wow, this is the kind of company that I'd like to do business with? Most marketing doesn't do this. It's full of platitudes, okay? Words, phrases that are drearily commonplace, they're predictable, they lack power to evoke interest or overuse and repetition. They're not stated as, they're stated as if they're original significant. They say things like, we've got the best service, the highest quality, largest selection, free estimates. You know, we've been in business since 1431 BC, and this stuff doesn't move the needle. We've got to communicate with more power, more passion, more precision, okay? Look at this website here. This is for Dynasty Roofing here in Dallas. Does this have, is the ignition code there? Can I look the prospect in the eye and say, you'd better believe it. If you don't do business with me, you're making a huge mistake. Again, you might not state it that way, but is that being communicated? And the answer is it's not. What about this one? Dial text. It just looks like the usual kind of stuff. If you look like everybody else, how's anybody going to tell that you're any different? They're going to start asking you questions like, how much is it? Why is this guy cheaper? Can you match his price? Yeah, I kind of like you, but I don't want to pay that much money. Okay, Lone Star Roofing, this is a bunch of garbage, and it's these companies' fault that they're getting the crap beat out of them on pricing. Not the marketplace's fault. The marketplace, when they don't know what else to look for, of course they're going to default to price. So let's talk about this, identity. This is our second concept, identity. The first one was ignition code, belief. Second one, identity. Words, phrases, and images articulated with power, precision, passion that instantly, definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect when doing business with you. Now, I'm going to show you an example here. If you've been on webinars with me before, you've seen this example because I use this example on webinars. If that's the case, stick with me. I'm going to go through this quickly, and I'm going to show you multiple other examples of other marketing here in just a minute. So let's go through this. Going to give you a case study. It's a company out of Oregon, Portland area. Go Ducks. I guess they kind of fell flat the other day. Here's the situation. This guy's a remodeling guy that does kitchens, bathrooms primarily. He's really good at what he does. His customers love him. He's sort of OCD about getting things done right. He sweats every little detail. Anything that's not exactly right, he doesn't let it fly. So here's the premise for this guy's identity. I'm a remodeler with exacting standards who will do everything right. Well, when I sat down with this guy, Don Isaacson, and his wife, Lori, I looked at their existing website, and it looked like this: Revive Remodeling. Remodeling that revives the value of your life at home. And I thought, where did you get that off of a flipping Hallmark card? It doesn't even communicate anything. And then it's got the usual junk platitudes that you see on most websites. It obviously doesn't look that great either. Well, let's read it. Welcome to our website. Information on your next home improvement remodeling project. We're a full-service residential general contracting company. Blah, 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 blah. Remember Charlie Brown's mother or the teachers on the cartoons? Wah, 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 wah. That's what this sounds like. It's not making an impact. It's not getting the job done. I said to him, everything that you do that makes you awesome, all of the things that make you so detail-oriented and good at what you do and thorough, none of it's being communicated here. So we came back, put together a website, and this is what it looked like. Are you persnickety, demanding, hard to please, picky? Then I'm the remodeler for you. I'm not the fastest. I am not the cheapest. I am, however, according to my customers, the best. In remodeling, it's all about the details, and I'm obsessed with them. Why? Because I'd rather do things right rather than right now. It takes time to do things properly, and I refuse to compromise quality for speed. I'm not the fastest, and I'm not the cheapest contractor around, but according to my customers, I exceed their expectations with the final result. This is an identity that clearly communicates before you ever meet this guy that probably not going to be cheap, because he's already actually very explicitly said it. But even in absence of the explicit saying, I'm not the cheapest, here's what we start to realize. Hey, this is probably a little bit higher deal, right? We take this identity and then we put it into things like advertisements. Are you anxious to get the job done? Or are you anxious to get the job done right? This one's pretty hardcore. I could honestly care less if you have a list of 3 remodelers who are cheaper than me. We take a little longer, we cost a little more, but wait till you see the final product. Then we put it into the home show materials. Persnickety, demanding, hard to please, then I'm the remodeler for you. Ruin my vacation, interrupt my dinner, wake me up at 2 a.m. My only concern is that your job is 100% perfect. Here's my cell number. And the idea and the feeling that people start to have is, wow, this guy's, you know, probably going to do a better job. On the right-hand side, we're not the fastest, we're not the cheapest, we're just the best, right? And then this is some stuff that we give out at the home show. On the left-hand side, this is a big oversized flyer. It's 17 inches big. I won't go through it in detail. You get the idea. This is a postcard that would be sent out as a lead generator. I shut down the job site and discussed, ripped out the entire floor, started over again from scratch. You flip it over. Me and not done exactly right don't get along very well. If I have to choose between profit and perfection, I'll choose perfection. Or identity. Price conditioning, helping people understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what they can expect when doing business with you, and explicitly and implicitly letting them know what? This is not going to be cheap, but this is going to be better, okay? This would be an example of an appointment confirmation email. Are you ready for your meeting with Portland's most persnickety remodeler? Most remodelers hate dealing with high maintenance customers who complain about wanting every little thing a certain way. Those are the only kind I get along with. And then it goes through a discussion of how he's persnickety, how he has high standards, how he's more demanding than anybody, including you probably. So if you have high demands, that's great because they're not going to be as high as his demands. And now from the first advertisement and the website and now the email that goes out as part of a pre-positioning, every point along the way, we're hitting with the same message. Here's how you judge value. It's about the identity. So we take this identity and it becomes the hub of all marketing activity. I cannot emphasize this too much. You say, well, I don't really care if I have an identity. I've got a beautiful looking website. Well, that's good. It's a great start. But if you don't have this identity communicated clearly, concisely, power, passion, precision, in all points of contact of your marketing, here's what happens. You start to sort of lose opportunities. You start to blend into the crowd. You think your nice high-end looking website's the only nice high-end looking website on the internet? Are you crazy? You've got to communicate the reasons, and then this goes into all of these other marketing materials, right? So the identity becomes the hub. If you don't have identity in your marketing, I make you an ironclad promise. You're losing deals that you should have had, period, okay? And very likely you're losing a ton of deals. Now, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to make you a little offer. I'm going to give you an opportunity to fill out something on a poll. You can click it, and we will do an evaluation of your website and your internet marketing, and we'll grade your website. We'll let you know how it's doing on a scale of 0 to 100. It's free. All you got to do is just check the thing off. I'll give you the poll a little bit later on, okay? Using your website. Now, we're moving to the third thing, identity, right? First belief, second identity, now third, using your website to lower price resistance. Your website should build a case, just like an attorney would build a case. Do not be tempted to say to yourself, well, we'll just send the salesperson in and he'll take care of this. Your salesperson may take care of this. He may be very good. But if you don't do this on the front end, here's what I'm trying to tell you over and over again. You're missing opportunities that your salespeople are never even going to have a chance to go in and be good because the person never called you, okay? Think of it this way. Your prospects are the jury, your product or service is the defendant, and you're the attorney in charge, and it's a life or death sentence. You with me, okay? You can't just throw platitudes at them. Think if you were in a court case and you started spewing platitudes. Oh, OJ didn't do it. He was a nice guy. He ran through airports. He ran for 2,000 yards in one season. And the jury would look at that and say, yeah, but where's the evidence that he didn't kill these people? You've got to gather evidence, social proof, and expert testimony, okay? Now, let me give you a little checklist, and then I'm going to show it to you in action, all right? Online reviews, customer references, photos, customer profiles, awards and accolades, about us page, FAQs, videos. You have to assume that the prospect, or to use our analogy, the jury knows nothing. You can't assume that they know stuff. You've got to explain everything to them, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's take a look at an example. So this is a company called Upscale Remodeling in New York. This is their website when I met them. Welcome to Upscale Remodeling. When Upscale does the work, you can be sure it's done right. One of Ithaca's oldest full-service home remodeling companies. Again, this is one of those companies that literally does everything right. They're very good. But if you look at their website, it doesn't communicate that. It's hard to tell really who they are, how they're any different. So we created this new website, and I'm going to do something I don't normally do on these webinars, so wish me luck. I'm going to bring their website live onto this webinar. Okay, there it is. So this is what it looks like. And I'm going to scroll up here. Well, here's what you see first. We got the social icon. Read our reviews, front and center. View our photo gallery. What we're doing is presenting evidence, right? Does that make sense to you? Choose your service. We got free estimates. Oh, we've got client case studies. And we've got, of course, the identity here. We've got this slider here, consistent. Remember identity, power, precision, passion. Welcome to stress-free, quality first, not done until you say it's done remodeling. Successful remodeling doesn't happen by accident. It's deliberate, measured, and absolutely on purpose. We're sticklers for details. We obsess over perfection. So we're not the fastest. We're not the cheapest. We are, however, according to our clients, the best. What to expect when you hire the best. You see how that works? Does that make sense? We are telling people explicitly what to look for. Quality without compromise, no sales pressure. But it doesn't stop there. If we go to Why Choose Us, we can see the workmanship. Technical excellence doesn't happen by accident. It's a matter of training, experience, process, and passion. and then we can read about that. We can go here to the service experience, and we can see internet. From the very first phone call to the final walkthrough, you'll know that Upscale Remodeling really does care. Here's what we do: honesty, respect, no sales pressure, one-stop shopping, total confidence. If you go to our process, you can see that they have a very detailed process, a step-by-step snapshot of what to expect, exactly what to expect from us. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Does this look like the cheapest guy in town to you? Does this look like the guy that's going to give you the cut rate price and then show up with his pickup truck 3 months from now and start? No, absolutely not. But let's look at some of these other things. Online reviews. If I click on online reviews, this is part of the reputation section right here. See what our customers say about us online. If there's any lag on seeing this, it's because of the webinar, so just bear with that. Third-party, unfiltered comments tell a powerful story. We're telling the jury, hey, here's what online reviews are. Guild Quality. Here's what Guild Quality is. It's the nation's leading customer satisfaction. Click here to read our Guild Quality report and reviews. Note, you'll be taken to Guild Quality site, a new window. So if we click on that, sure enough, Upscale Remodeling, third-party, Guild Quality, 100% clean and safe, 97% expertise, likely to recommend. I can see where the jobs were done. I can come down here and read the comments. It's all right there. You think this company is going to get people calling them up asking for some low butt price? No, it's not going to happen. Okay? What about customer references? Well, let's go to the reputation section, come down here to client references. How many of our clients would you like to speak with? 2, 5, 50? Most contractors don't give any references unless you ask, and they might give you 2 or 3. Really? For a project that's going to cost thousands of dollars? Regardless of how much your project will cost, you should get several references, and right here, you can fill this out, and they will email you immediately a list of references. They don't even have to know who you are. They'll just email it to you, and then they'll give you the questions to ask when you do call. This is called building a case. Next, photos. Let's look at some of the case studies and client profiles. We've profiled a few of our customer projects. Get a behind-the-scenes peek, and if you scroll down, you'll see that there's a good, 8 or 10 of these. And we click on the gossips, and we can read about their project. And if we come over here, we love the lot and the view, but we hated the house. With Upscale's help, we now have the house of our dreams. And I come down here, I see the people, real people, not some BS John S. from Ithaca. It's the real people. Here's the house. I can see what it looked like before. And then I can come down here. It's a little slow loading, but it's the after pictures. It scrolls through there, and I can see this. I can go back, and I can see more of these, as many of these as I want. I can also go over here to our online photo gallery. Have fun exploring some of our photo galleries. And we've got additions and remodeling, before and afters, detailed photos. So we come down here to kitchens. Let's see some before and afters. And they're all right here. All the evidence that people can possibly want is right there, given to them where? Up front, before we've ever met with them. Awards and accolades. We come down here to the reputation section, awards and accolades. Here's what we've done. We won all of these different things. We're named one of the largest remodeling companies in the USA. Here's the affiliations. It's all right there. What about the About Us page? This is something that most people don't pay that much attention to. But look at this. You want to convince people that you're worth the money? My story begins right here in Ithaca, New York. As a third-generation remodeling contractor, you can safely say that remodeling is in my blood. Look, here's what you've got to understand. There's a certain segment of the marketplace that's cheap. They don't care about quality. They're going to look for the cheapest price. You don't care about them. Let them go buy from somebody else and make somebody else's life miserable, not you. You want people to look at you and say, we're worth it. Our products are worth it. Our people are worth it. Our prices are worth it. Here's why. This guy's been building in that area since the 1700s. I was born and raised here. My mother's ancestors migrated in 1657. We've been building here for generations. You might look at this and say, well, I don't know if people are going to read all that. And the answer is, if you're looking at a $49,000 project, would you take 2 or 3 minutes to read this page? The answer is absolutely, positively yes. The FAQs shouldn't just be throwaway FAQs. The FAQs should speak to the identity, okay? What cost should I expect to be on the contract? What's the difference between an estimate and a price? How do you handle change orders? What can I be assured of that I'll get a quality job at a fair price? And finally, videos. Now, I don't have a video for this client yet. We're still working on it. But I do want to show you a video. This is a whiteboard style video, and I want you to evaluate it as I show it to you. Here's what I want you to evaluate specifically, okay? Are you with me so far? I asked you to take notes at the beginning, and I said evaluate how you're doing against these things. I want you to watch this video, and I want you to ask this question. Does it help to price condition? I hope the sound sounds good, and I'm going to show this to you. Probably won't watch all of it, but we'll watch probably the first, 1 or 2 minutes. So here we go.
When it comes time to do a roof replacement, the company you choose really does matter. It is the single most important decision for the long-term health of your home. But sorting through all the industry claims is confusing. Let's sweep away the cobwebs, clear the clutter, demolish the confusion, and talk about the 4 crucial areas when shopping for a roof replacement. Crucial area number 1. First, find concrete proof that a company is as good as they claim. Smart homeowners know that jumping at the first offer or bottom of the barrel pricing is a recipe for disaster. Our record is spotless, including an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and an amazing 9.76 out of 10 customer satisfaction rating. The national average is 6.29. And we've installed 60,000 plus roofs and counting. Yes, 60,000 plus roofs. Let's move on to crucial area number 2. Know what systems and products a company uses to install your roof. We have perfected a roofing system that guarantees we do rock-solid installation every single time. This is our famous Fortress roofing system.
Okay, I think you get the idea. We don't need to watch this entire video. So I'm going to go back over to our webinar. And I want you to think about this stuff for a minute, okay? And if there was lag on that video, in the actual video you watch it on YouTube, there's not lag like there may have been during the webinar. So I apologize for that. Really no way around that right now. But here's the idea. Are we building a case on our website? Here's what we want to have happen, right? We want people to fall in love with your company based on the marketing, okay? Keep this stuff in mind. When people come to your website, they're there because they want to find information right now. They don't want you to send them information 2-3 days later, the salesman shows up. They're hot and bothered and ready to make decisions right there. Your job is to, what's the F word of marketing? Facilitate their decision-making process. You can't wait until the sales meeting. If your site makes you look the same as everyone else, then they're going to default to price. Your identity-based website will do more to price condition prospects than anything else. Just give you a quick testimonial. This is back to Revive Remodeling. Remember the Persnickety remodeler? Put this in place for him. It's been a couple years ago now. We just landed our biggest remodeling job ever, $200,000 with a couple who lives out of state and are moving here this summer. We know we got the job because of the new website. The clients loved it and obviously read it all. They called all of our references. They referred to the gallery picture saying they wanted certain features or materials in their project. This stuff works. It gets rid of the riffraff. It takes care of all the people that are trying to buy the cheapest pennies that they can save. And it gives you prospects that understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, how to judge value. And they come to you prepared, and they come to you in the sales meeting. Like I said, they've fallen in love based on what they've seen. And the sales meeting, really, in that situation, it's there for them to validate and verify that everything that they've learned and felt and seen so far is actually true, okay? Now, let's go into a couple other elements of pre-positioning, and then we'll hit the home stretch. Well, we're about halfway down here. So here's what they are. We'll go through them one at a time. Identity brochures, contractor standards guides, product reports, appointment setting phone scripts, confirmation phone scripts, and pre-appointment emails. Now, these are all things, again, that are done prior to the sales meeting to help people understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, to understand your identity, and to understand what to look for in a contractor, okay? Let's take a look. First one, this is one for the company where we just reviewed their website, Upscale Remodeling. By the way, you can go look at their website all you want on your own if you feel like it. Do me a favor, we got a ton of people on this webinar. Don't be one of those people that contacts the owner of that company and he gets deluged with 1,000 phone calls from people. Be respectful of our clients, please, just as a favor to me. But here's a copy of their brochure. Now, you're looking at this brochure and you're thinking, okay, it's a trifold brochure. This is not a trifold brochure. Actually, that's not true. It is a trifold brochure, but here's what's different about it. It's actually a lot bigger. This is oversized and it's printed on cardstock, so it's very substantial. And you'll see that it consistently follows exactly what we saw on the website. Stress-free, quality-first remodeling. Here's some stuff from our customers. Upscale is your choice for craftsman quality remodeling. If I flip this over, then you'll see on the inside, we've got a beautiful picture. It's not done until you say it's done, period. We're stickler for details. We obsess over perfection, what to expect when you hire the best. We specialize in even better than I imagined. And every time this guy opens his mouth via marketing, whether it's his website, his brochure, whatever it is, quality and confidence just oozes. And people look at this and say, okay, I'm the kind of person that demands quality. This is the kind of company I want to do business with. I'm the kind of person that doesn't drive a 2004 Acura. I'm the kind of person that drives a newer car that actually works. Okay, that's what these people are trying to do. Let's go to the next thing. It's called a contractor standards guide. I've been putting these together for my clients for 20 years now, and they never quit working. Okay, contractor standards guide. It can be done in an electronic format, or it can be done in a paper format. I prefer the paper format because it's powerful for people to hold it in their hands. If you open it up, here's what it is. It's a guide that helps you understand what to look for in a contractor. If you look on the left-hand side of this page, I know it's kind of small writing, but just kind of go with me here. You'll see that the table of contents is broken into 4 categories: stability, reputation, professionalism, and workmanship. What we're doing is we're educating our prospects. What's the F word in marketing? That's right, facilitating their decision-making process. When you go to hire a contractor, here's what you should look for: stability, reputation, professionalism, and workmanship. And we tell a little story over here. You see under the picture of the owners, we were shocked and embarrassed when we found out that contractors were America's #1 most complained about industry. And then we talk about how the industry standards weren't tough enough, so we put these standards into place. Now, what the reality is, we help them put these standards into place, but they do these things. So let's take a look. The first one is stability, and you'll see here we use this format where it says what to look for: proof of establishment. Make sure that they actually have a building. Make sure that they actually have been in business for a while. What to look for: a bank letter and a supplier letter. These are letters from the company's banks and suppliers respectively that say, we've been doing business with this company. We know that they're financially stable. They pay their bills on time. They don't have bounced checks. Whatever the case is, these are letters. We show them in this guide to our prospective customers. We show them a business license. We show them insurance. We explain to them what the dangers are of not having insurance or being underinsured, and how we have the proper amount of insurance, and to prove it, here's our certificate. Then we get into reputation. We talk about Better Business Bureau accreditation, what it is, what it means, and what it means if somebody doesn't have an accreditation or if they have a lower score. We talk about customer references and guide them to our website where they can get even more customer references. Professionalism, this is a big category. Detailed proposal and change orders. We explain to them that reputable companies have detailed bids and change order processes so that you don't get caught off guard and you don't end up paying for stuff that you didn't anticipate. We talk about what we call a no tricks, no pressure sales agreement. This is a really key document that we put together for our clients that tells people in no uncertain terms that we're not going to strong arm you, we're not going to bully you, we're not going to sit on your couch for 100 years until you give up. We're going to educate you on every part of this decision. We're going to give you an opportunity to decide. We're going to step back and let you make the choice. And in the event that you decide not to move forward, that's fine. It's your decision. And we put it in writing. It's in paper. It's right there. They see it before we show up. So guess what happens? When we show up, they're looking for that. They're evaluating us against that, and they notice that we're not putting pressure on them, and we get credit for it, and they feel comfortable, and they're relieved that we're there treating them right. When in absence of these documents, in absence of this marketing, they don't notice that stuff, and they don't feel as at ease, and they don't fall in love with you. We put together a job site cleanup roster and a worker conduct agreement. I won't go through those in details for the sake of time. I told you we're going to move fast. When it comes to workmanship, we talk about our warranties, our guarantees. You've got your own warranties and guarantees. Whatever they are, we put them into this document. We give products, photos, ideas, and inspiration. We guide them to our website for more. We show before and after photos and guide them to our website for more. And then we give them a list of frequently asked questions, and we give them a contractor checklist so that they can check us against other remodelers. Generally, this checklist is going to contain anywhere from 15 to about 20 or 22 different items that you are putting out there as standards. I'm telling you, when you use this stuff before the sale, it makes a tremendous difference. Sometimes people look at this and say, well, what if somebody doesn't read it? Well, what if they do read it? See, don't get caught up on what if they don't, and you show up at a sales meeting and somebody didn't read through this stuff and you get frustrated. Well, we put all this stuff together and nobody read it. It's not true. It's not true that nobody read it. It's true that some people won't read it, but you got to think of the value for the ones that do. It makes night and day difference. Now, let's review. You've got an ignition code. You feel good about yourself. You're confident when you talk. You've got an identity. You're communicating with power, precision, passion. It's on your website. You've got evidence. You've got social proof. You've got expert witness testimony. And now we start putting these pre-positioning materials in place, brochures and guides, and we are hitting grand slam home runs. It's incontrovertible that we're different, that we're better, that we're, most importantly, worth it, right? Are you following me? Here's a type of brochure that we can send out. This, again, is an oversized brochure. It's not a little teeny one like a typical trifold. It's oversized. It's about 60% bigger. It's printed on cardstock. Homeowner's Guide to Replacement Windows. And then we show them, you can sort of see how this folds, window styles, multiple options. But on the back, look at this. There are over 2,000 brands of windows. We sifted through all of them to bring you the best of the best of the best. And we talk about how we chose the brand of window that we sell. On the inside, we show them how to evaluate quality, energy efficiency, installation, and warranties for window companies. On the left-hand side, we show what builder-grade windows are. And you can't really see this that well, but it says the price range for those is $300 to, I think, $600. High-grade windows, price ranges from $750 to $400. We talk about what's different about them. Specialty and fiberglass windows, and we talk about what's different about those. We're trying to what? F word, facilitate the decision-making process. We help people understand what energy efficiency is by explaining it to them in plain English terms. We let them know what installation is, what good installation is versus bad installation. This is all done in an easy-to-read, quick, at-a-glance kind of a brochure. Or we can take and do a bigger brochure. This is more of an 8.5 by 11, multiple pages. This is for metal roofing. Metal roofing, you know, if you sell metal roofing, that's pretty tough because these guys are selling a product that's a lot more expensive than people think. So we hit it head on. Here, look, I mean, can you price condition any better than this? They open the brochure and it says, but it costs too much. If we've heard it once, we've heard it 1,000 times. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger on the screen. When people find out that, yes, permanent roofing costs more up front than regular roofing, they almost always say they love the way it looks, but it costs too much. Because that's what people always say. Why not just acknowledge it? We guess that's a fair enough analysis if the only thing you know about permanent roofing is it looks great and costs more than asphalt. But there's so much more to this story than just looks and price. That's why I wrote this report, to give people an opportunity to find the facts about permanent roofing. Let me give you an analogy, and it goes through and it helps explain why roofs are more expensive. And then it shows from an aesthetic standpoint and in increasing your home value. It compares metal versus slate versus tile versus asphalt, and how you can have the best looking home on the block and get 85% of your money back immediately. How it's more fireproof and weatherproof and last forever proof compared to metal, slate, tile, and asphalt. Same thing with lowering your energy bills and having government subsidies that'll pay for part of your metal roof. Having a metal roof is a greener solution compared to slate, tile, and asphalt, okay? So this is stuff that we can put together and give to people when? Before the sales meeting. The inbound lead call, this is important too. What you say on the phone. After you take their general information, where's your address, when would you like to meet? Talk about the pre-positioning materials. Have you had a chance to look at our website yet? One of the things that we're known for is we're the persnickety remodeler. We are OCD level in, you know, when it comes to quality, whatever it is. I'm going to mail you or email you a report, focus on identity, no pressure sales. You know, don't want to get into too much detail here, but commit them to studying and reading. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but you just tell them, look, it takes you a few minutes before we show up. Okay. On the confirmation call, you know, use the reports as a focal point of the confirmation call. Okay. One person, don't leave it to individual salespeople. That's a disaster. Make sure they got the information kit. Did you receive it via email or prior email if you sent it out? Do you have it handy? You open the green report to the first page. It's our contractor standards guide. Here's what that means. If you look at page 14, that's our no tricks, no pressure sales agreement. That means that when we show up, we're not going to put pressure on you. We're there to help you make the best decision. Okay. Go ahead and read over the rest before we come. Again, I don't want to get into too much detail, but this stuff is dynamite powerful. Okay, I already showed you this email that we can send. We can also send multiple emails. If it's 2 or 3 days before the appointment, send an email every single day. Every single day. Don't let them, don't assume that they remember or know any of this stuff. Send them your reference list. Send them customer testimonials and online reviews, okay? Just to wrap up this section before we head into the home stretch here. This is a testimonial letter from one of our customers. It says, hey, you weren't BSing me. This marketing crap really works. Dear Dan, that's one of our consultants. I didn't believe when you told me what would happen. I did it anyway. This marketing stuff really works. The phones are ringing. Appointments and sales have doubled. The crews are busy. Thanks to your marketing program, we're proving our value. We're getting out of the dog-eat-dog price game that used to drive me nuts. I knew we were better than most roofers, ignition code, but we had trouble showing it, identity. Now we can prove it. It's powerful. We're closing deals we never would have had at higher prices. Our leads are up 200%. Our closing and prices are up. We're using some new internal processes also. But what's just as amazing is hidden benefits. And I'm going to blow this up on your screen so you can see this. My sales manager is actually having fun with the new approach. He's commonly greeted on the first call in a friendlier way, sometimes a relieved sort of way. The customer says they feel like they have someone they can trust. They actually talk about the ad when they call and in person. It's amazing. Our presentations are stronger. Customers regularly tell us that we're by far the most professional company they've seen. It feels good. Everyone in the company has a new focus and can feel the positive momentum since we started the marketing. They're believers because they're seeing results. Understand, people, this is the same company as they were before. The only thing that changed was the pre-positioning materials, the improved website, helping people understand what to look for, what to watch out for, setting the standards, and price conditioning so that now when you show up for the sales meeting, they are relieved to have you there. Okay, now back to our main screen. We've covered the first 4 topics: belief, identity, building a website that converts, and other pre-positioning materials. The last 2 things we're going to cover are price conditioning and advertising, and using financing to reduce price resistance. Before we do that, though, I'm going to bring Tim Mush from MarketSharp onto the call, and he's going to talk to us for just a second about how MarketSharp can help actually facilitate and deliver some of these marketing materials that we're talking about. And let me get you on the phone. Tim, are you there, Tim?
I am, Rich. Actually, the reason that you do a break here is you got to catch your breath.
Oh, man, I could do this for hours. But let's go through this. Tell us, hey, just so everybody knows, I've been knowing Tim Mush now for about 10 years, MarketSharp. Our 2 companies have great synergies. We create a lot of marketing materials. Their program, Tim's going to talk to you about it, can actually help you manage and facilitate the delivery of a lot of this stuff. So, Tim, why don't you take it away?
All right. Why don't you go to the next slide, Rich? I mean, it's exactly right. You know, many of the ideas and strategies and tactics and stuff like that that you're talking about here is what I consider really the bullets. And what we think we have with this program called MarketSharp that many of you on this call do use, and we appreciate that. We think we have this gun that the bullets can go in to actually make the implementation of this stuff very easy. So 3 things come to mind on today's topic, price resistance. And one is many of the things you talked about, pre-positioning, second, accumulating social proof. And the third is lead nurturing. And we think there's an app for that naturally. Plenty of things within MarketSharp that can help with that. So let's talk about just a couple of them. Next slide is going to show this. It's got a whole bunch of templates. See, what MarketSharp is actually a business residing within a piece of software that runs within a browser. Kind of neat. It actually has over 300 marketing elements built in. Campaigns, direct mail pieces, email templates, reports, forms, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a plug-and-play business that you can dive right into. And what we're focusing on today is a little bit of email functionality. And some of the things Rich talked about, like the Contractor Standards Guide, very simple to get that off with a CRM like MarketSharp. All you do is go to the email assistant over on the left there. It's going to pop up a list of email templates that are available in there. And look, we got one called Contractor Standards Guide. And essentially what happens is you select that one and it's just going to get off to people. Next, how about getting those online reviews that Rich talked about? Very important. Sometimes you got to try to stimulate those things. So how about an email coming from your customer section that essentially is an online review request, making it very easy for them to go to the common online sites that they can make available and present their online reviews. So very easy to do this stuff. So when you think about it, you know what, we're talking about this price resistance. Rich makes a great case for doing all sorts of things in the front end before the salesperson gets there to eliminate price resistance. You also should do a bunch of stuff while the salesperson is there to reduce price resistance. possible to do that too. But what came to my mind is you still don't close them all. And sometimes they're still hanging there and the price is still kind of in their crawl and they just can't, make that decision to go. And that's where we think lead nurturing comes in. And this is where you can put follow-up on cruise control. So you can have like a 10, 15, 20-step process, some email, some direct mail pieces, a phone call here and there. But all these leads that you run that don't sell right away are going to get followed up on. And little by little by little, I know, Rich, you call it accelerated discontentment. I also think we could put that into a category of minimizing price resistance with all these marketing messages that are coming their way. So all that stuff is very easy with a CRM like MarketSharp. I just want to make one mention of something brand new. We've talked about this in past webinars, something called Smart Mail Plus, that we think is one of the best things you can do to generate leads, combine direct mail and all sorts of web strategies and all. You don't have to lift a finger to do this stuff. It's great for getting another job within a neighborhood that you just completed a job for. So with that, Rich, how about this? MarketSharp, we think, is the industry leading CRM system with more installations than anything else. It's all about turning prospects into leads and turning those leads into customers. So the next slide is going to show kind of a list of some of the functionality in here. It helps you comply with all web paint regulations. It helps you with radius marketing. We talked about lead nurturing, repeat referral marketing. How about reporting and knowing your numbers? All this stuff is critical. And one thing Rich mentioned briefly and may talk about more is when you get web leads, it's so important to respond to them literally within minutes. And all I could handle was in a program like MarketSharp too. So if you'd like to learn more, you can go to visit marketsharp.com, or you can call this number that's on screen, 800-335-4254. We'd be happy to give you about a 45-minute overview of the program and just make sure that it makes sense to you. So with that, Rich, back to you.
Okay, hey, and I'd like to even make this a little bit easier. I'm going to launch a poll right now. It's coming on your screen right now. Just let us know. If you're already a MarketSharp customer, check that off. If you're not, but you'd like to know more, go ahead and check that off. And if you check off that you're not a customer, but you'd like to know more, then the folks at MarketSharp will reach out to you and say, hey, here's more. So I'm going to give you just about 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, Rich, while this poll is up for a minute or two, I thought I'd take this time and maybe talk about the recent Green Bay Packers-Dallas Cowboy game. I think you live in Dallas, right?
The Packers-Cowboys games. Yeah, let's talk about the biggest ripoff since the week before in Detroit.
There you go. Now, that's a good answer there, Rich. That's a really good answer. So.
Okay,
anyway,
enough of that, Tim.
I know. I couldn't resist.
Okay. Thank you, everybody who has voted on the poll. I'm going to close that poll out now. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and all right, I'm going to close that poll. And thank you for participating in that. And thank you, Tim, for number one, being a sponsor, and number two, talking to us today. I really appreciate that. I'm going to mute you out, though, because I don't want to hear anything else about the Packers. Next, we're going to wrap this into the home stretch here. We've got 2 more topics to cover about. I'm going to cover both of these topics fairly quickly, and then we'll get into a Q&A section. But here's what we want to talk about is advertising. How do we implement this into advertising so that before they even become a prospect, they have an ability from a price conditioning standpoint to sort of move that needle. So we're going to talk about this very quickly. Not going to spend a ton of time here. The key is identity, okay? If you've got a good identity and you start to communicate that with consistency frequently throughout your advertising campaigns, then it's going to move that needle. We already looked at this ad earlier. I'm putting it up here really just to kind of remind you. Take the identity, put it into the advertising. I could honestly care less if you have a list of 3 remodelers, stuff like that. But I also want to show you a couple of radio commercials. Now, not everybody is on the radio. I understand that. But I want you to hear these so you can get a feel for what it sounds like when you start to price condition consistently. And I want you to imagine not just 2 ads, which is what I'm going to show you, but maybe 10 ads or 15 ads over the course of a year that people hear over and over again, again and again and again, and this week and next month and again and again. And then 3 years later, 2 years later, 7 years later, when they finally say, gosh, I'd like to do a project, they already know, number one, who you are, that you exist, but number 2, even more importantly, hey, this is the company you go to if you want it done right. Not cheap, but right. So let's listen to 2 of these.
How many references do you think you should check before hiring a remodeling contractor? 2, 3, 10, You know what? About half the time, contractors don't give any references, and even when they do, half the time people don't actually call them. That's a huge mistake. You should always call references before giving any contractor a dime. At Vale Home Services and Construction, we'll give you as many references as you want. Last year, we completed 381 projects, including 94 bathrooms, 51 roofing jobs, and 196 kitchens, room additions, and remodeling jobs. You can call all 381 if you want. Ask them if we completed the job on time. Ask them if we stayed within their budget. Ask them if we were easy to get in touch with during the job. And most importantly, ask them the mother of all reference questions. If you had to do it over again, would you still choose Vale Home Services and Construction? Call us at 574-533-4821 to discuss your next remodeling job, or visit us online at valehome.com. That's 574-533-4821.
Okay, so I think you get the idea there. We'll just listen to the first part of one more, and then we'll move on. Nope, we're not going to listen to that one because that one is not working. That's okay. Let's go ahead and look at the next part of this. Take your home show, for example, and let me make sure that we're moving with the screen here. Okay, so this is a client of ours, Lone Star Property Solutions. This is what their home show looked like. Now, here's the problem with this. Obviously, you can't tell who they are, how they're different, how they're any better. There's no power, there's no precision, there's no passion, there's no identity coming through, there's no price conditioning that's going on. This is the kind of company that is begging to be asked for a lower price. And sure enough, they get asked for a lower price. We came in, we overhauled all their marketing, their website, their brochures, all the different stuff. But I just want to show you some of the materials from their home show. Now, understand, I'm going to show you a picture of this, and I didn't have an opportunity from this particular company to get the home show completely set up. So this stuff's going to be a little crammed in there, but in the actual home show, they were able to spread it out. But this gives you an idea of what they had. Big, bright backdrop now, remodeling. We'll pick your brain, infuse it with ideas, and help you discover exactly what you want. We specialize in even better than I imagined, and it shows that they do kitchens, bathrooms, design, aging in place, handyman, real estate stuff. And then over here, we got the pop-up brochures. Most remodelers are order takers. We're dream makers. Let us help you unleash your inner design genius. And these are materials that, again, help move that needle so that when you generate those leads, they already come to the table with a better idea of who you are, what you do. And it's all based on identity, and it's based on power, precision, and passion. Now, if I had time, I'd go through a detailed overview of advertising. I'd give you campaigns. I'd let you listen to 5 or 10 different radio ads. We don't have time for that, but here's the point. And it's very simple. You've got to take an identity, you've got to put it in there, and you've got to have high repetition so that you're nurturing the marketplace so that when they become ready, boom, you get the call and they already know, okay? You're going to start to eliminate this price resistance. Not reduce it, you're going to start to eliminate it, okay? Now, let's go to the last topic. I'm going to cover this very quickly, using financing to lower price resistance. Then, if you'll stick around, I'm going to give away the books. We'll do some Q&A, but let's stick with it here for just another few minutes. Here's what I know based on true, actual stats. Financing makes the average sale go up. It's incontrovertible. It happens. The average sale with no interest if paid in full in 12 months, $5,519. $6,804 average sale if with no interest if paid in up to 36 months offer. $7,466 average sale with longer term, low APR financing. Now, we don't know what the baseline was. This is based on tracking from one of the big home improvement financing companies. Assume that about $4,500 if there's no financing, because it's going to go up from $4,500 to about $5,500 with some additional financing offer on there. So here's what happens. You get an increase of about 67%. The reason is simple, because when you go in there and you ask them for $10,000 or $5,000 or $29,000 or $72,000, then what happens is a lot of times people hear that and they immediately say, gosh, it's more than I expected. Remember the guy at the very beginning that was hiding under his kitchen sink because he was suffering from sticker shock. But when you come in there with financing, it helps to lower that blow. But you have to do it the right way. Here's how you offer it. Don't use financing as a last-ditch effort to salvage lost deals. In other words, you say, hey, look, it's going to be $50,000. And the guy says, oh, okay. And he starts coming up with excuses. You say, well, we could finance it for you. Here's what I recommend. Sell the payment, just like the car companies do. So when you sit down in the house, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, we offer several financing options to make this project affordable? This is when you start, okay? Not at the end, at the beginning. How much money do you feel would fit comfortably into your monthly budget to make this project happen? Now, if they were planning on paying cash, then they're going to tell you right there, oh, well, we're just going to pay cash. Okay, now you know that. You can move on with your presentation. More likely, they're going to either give you a number, or they're going to say, well, I don't know. Well, would it be more like 200 or 300? What do you think? Give them prices in terms of monthly payments. They say, well, maybe $300. Okay, you know what, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to make you a promise right now. We can absolutely positively do what you're trying to do, and we can do it within your budget of $300 a month. So let's go ahead and get started, okay? You can always negotiate the length of the contract if you need to make the price fit, okay? You'll close deals faster, easier, and at higher prices. This is a tool, I actually call it a weapon, that can make a massive difference in closing. A lot of people say to me, oh, well, my customers don't need that because they all have money. Well, that may be true, but how many deals would you be losing because of they didn't have money? Or, again, think about it this way. If you go in there and tell them it's $10,000 and they're thinking about writing a check, but now you give them a 12-month same as cash and they can now pull it out of their monthly budget at $750 a month, or $800, what would it be, $8,500, $850 a month, then that makes a huge difference. So don't discount this out of hand. I think it's something that you should put some effort and thought into. It makes a big difference, okay? Well, I'm going to announce the winners of the book giveaway here in just a second. Before I do that, I want to offer you something that won't cost you any money, but it will cost you a commitment, okay? If you take me up on the offer that I'm about to give you, I'm going to ask of you one specific thing, which is that you will follow through and talk to us on the back end, because we're going to put some time and effort and money into putting some stuff together for you to help you evaluate your current website and your marketing situation. And I'm going to show you what I mean right now. So we're going to offer you a web marketing checkup. It's real simple. We're going to grade your website on 18 different criteria, give it a score from 0 to 100. Most sites are going to go between 20 and 40. Think about if your kid brought home a 30 on his math test, how you'd feel about that. And then we look at your website and go, geez, it came out of 30. How do you feel about that? The biggest problem that we see is lack of identity. It's not in most websites. As a result, terrible at price conditioning. A lot of these social proof and evidence, it doesn't exist, or it's not very powerful. Then we're going to grade your SEO efforts to drive people to your site on 21 specific criteria, and we'll give you a keyword ranking report. So what I'm telling you is this. I'm going to give you a poll here in just a minute. And if you click that you're interested in this web marketing checkup, we will take your website, we will grade it, and then we will also do an SEO analysis on your website. If you request it, we will put the wheels in motion to make that happen. If you then later on don't sit down with us and discuss it, then that's kind of a wasted amount of energy and effort on our part. So if you don't want to participate in this, that's fine. Just don't fill out, don't click it off on the survey. But if you are interested in this, just click it off on the poll here in just a minute. Let me show you what the website evaluation looks like. It's very simple. We're going to grade it on 4 different areas: engagement, which is professionalism, search match, engagement tools, price conditioning, navigation. The second area is identity and evidence, your homepage, what we call a headline funnel, the evidence that needs to be on there, product pages and product evidence. That's worth 45 points. And then we're going to look at section 3 is social proof and other elements, online reviews, photo galleries, other social proof, FAQ, about us, all the stuff that I talked about that's going to help you in terms of price conditioning and lowering price resistance. And we'll give you a grade on all of this that'll add up to some number out of 100. In this case, you see it's 29. Then we've got this section down here where we can either add or subtract things and give you comments on things that were particularly good or particularly bad. This guy scored a total of 29 out of 100. If you score a 29 out of 100, wouldn't you want to know that? We'll also do an SEO report for you, okay? We'll look at 21 different elements. We'll give you a grade of either positive or negative so you can see if your SEO is getting the job done. A lot of contractors I've found don't really know if their SEO is working. They don't get reports. If you're not getting weekly reports from your SEO provider, you need to fire them immediately, by the way. We'll show you how your keywords rank, how they're doing in terms of first page ranking, and then we'll give you a detailed report. Now, I'm not going to go through this in detail other than to say it's a 9-page report that details everything about your SEO, and it'll let you know where you need to improve, okay? So I'll give you a poll for that in just a minute. Before I do that, let me tell you how companies do business with us. we offer foundational marketing that you must have to sell at premium prices, okay? You've got to do this stuff if you want to get the number of appointments that you should be getting and then convert them more easily at the higher prices without the price problems that you may be experiencing now. It all starts with your identity. I've talked about that at length. That shouldn't be much of a surprise. Then creating a professional identity-based website that converts prospects into customers with all the social proof and all of the evidence that we've talked about, making sure it's in there, it's well articulated, it explains it to the jury, not assuming that they know anything. That's what needs to happen. Then driving traffic to your site via organic and paid search, pay-per-click, using mailing and advertising to grow it. All of this, we do all of this for a low monthly payment. We've created what we call monopolized bundle. We've taken our most needed, necessary, urgent services, including ongoing webinar training, creating your identity for your company. It's specific to you. It's not a boilerplate. It's not somebody else's repackaged for you. Write the website content, build the website professionally, set up your SEO, regular monthly maintenance for 2 years of SEO, create a mobile website for you, unlimited updates of the website for 2 years, manage your pay-per-click for 2 years, create all the pre-positioning materials that we've talked about, including the contractor standards guide, including the product reports. It's all included in this bundle. We do all of it for you. The emails, everything. We do all of it for you. We've done this for hundreds of companies. The value of the bundle is $47,000. We do it for about $600 per month. In fact, it's about $2,999 down and about $599 a month. That's how we do it. It's easy to afford, and it gives you all of the stuff you need to sell at higher prices at a premium, okay? If you're interested in that, here's what you can do. Fill out my poll here in just a second. You can also look on my website. If you go here, click on the bonus bundles pages, the blue button right there on the home page, and then you can scroll down on the bonus page and you can see the monopolized bundle. If you click on any of these elements, you'll see exactly what those are. You'll see that what the value is and how that works, okay? So go to bonus bundles. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a special offer for people that are on the webinar today. If you're interested in our bonus bundle, we'll give you a $500 cash discount, which is $2,499 down instead of $2,999. A free SEO upgrade, including social media optimization, which is critical. That's a $10,000 value. That's over for 2 years. We'll do that. The total bonus value is $10,500, but you have to purchase this week. We'll contact you to set appointments if you want to discuss that. This is limited to the first 5 customers. We've got hundreds and hundreds of you on this webinar, so I'm sure that that's going to go fast. And just indicate your interest on the poll. So what I'm going to do is launch the poll that says, what is your interest in MYM? And you can choose that you'd like to get the free web marketing checkup, or you're interested in the bonus bundle offer, or both. If you're interested in both, then just click both, and we'll do both of those things for you. So I'll just give you a minute here to do that. While we're doing that, I will go ahead and give away the 3 books. So let's see here. And if I could have my note-taking people take notes on these names. Let's see. All right. So the first person that will receive one of the MYM books is James Neff, N-E-F-F. James Neff, you've just won a Monopolize Your Marketplace book. You don't have to do anything other than reply probably to an email asking for your address, and we'll shoot that out to you. So James Neff, congratulations. You are one of the winners. The next person is going to be Amy Spence. Amy Spence, you've just won a Monopolize Your Marketplace book. And the third person is going to be, let's see here. Okay. All right. Troy Romero. Troy Romero, you have just won the Monopolize Your Marketplace. You're the third person that won the book. So I appreciate that. Now, let me go back over to my poll. You've got 5 seconds to vote. 4, 3, 2, 1. And now I will take Q&A. Hang on just 1 second. Okay, so let me close that poll. All right, I will take Q&A. To participate in the Q&A, all you have to do, very simply put, is type in a question on the console, and I will get to it. If I have time, I will stay here for another 10 or 15 minutes If you don't want to participate in the Q&A, thank you for coming to this webinar today. Hopefully you found value. Like I said earlier at the beginning, if you would do me a favor, shoot an email to whoever invited you to this webinar. Thank them for allowing you to participate. And I will take Q&A now for as long as people want to participate. So let me go to my console and I'll start answering the questions. All righty. Okay. Is the webinar recorded for future reference? Yes. Do you need to furiously take notes? I hope you did. Next one. What, if anything, is wrong with making a ballpark price list very public? I personally don't have a problem with that. Sometimes if people just only see the price list and they don't look at any of the context surrounding it, then they may become disenchanted that your prices are higher than they're expecting. But if you surround it very immediately and definitively and obviously with all of this pre-positioning stuff that we're talking about, then I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I have sort of an idea that most remodelers are not willing to go to this length, but I like showing here's the project and here's how much it costs and letting them see. There's nothing to be ashamed of, right? And then take their testimonial and ask them, what do you think about the price? Well, you know, it was really expensive, but dang it, it was worth it. Okay, next question. Let's see. Well, hang on. Yeah, we got that. The video is not on there. We got that. It's back. Okay. All right, actual questions here. What if you are a franchise and they control your marketing materials? Wally, thanks for that question. I'm going to give you the smart alecky answer first that I have given some people in total seriousness before, but I'll give it to you, maybe not as serious, but maybe, I don't know. You might want to quit the franchise. I have very low tolerance for franchises that have crummy marketing that don't allow their franchisees to get creative and do stuff that's better. I've seen remodeling contractors be forced to use junk, be absolutely prohibited against using awesome stuff, and they just stick with them. I can't think of any name of any remodeling company that's worth that kind of aggravation and that kind of sales that's being costed to you because of the franchise agreement. So I'm a little, that may not be the answer you wanted, Wally, but that's kind of how I feel about it. If they absolutely won't let you do anything, then that's unfortunate. Do you have a more affordable plan for small companies? That's what Rob is asking me. And in the interest of the ignition code, we don't, but I appreciate you asking. Next, Doug Truran. Hey, good to see you on there. Carrie asks, how much of my time or my company's time is required to do all this stuff? Terry, that's a good question. The answer is we require generally about a 1 hour per week meeting with you for the first couple of months while we go through creating the identity and the web content. Obviously, there's going to be some time outside of that where you're going to need to review what we've written and also gathering certain materials for the Contractor Standards Guide, for instance, your insurance certificate, your bank letter. We'll give you a list. We'll tell you exactly what to do, but you've got to go actually get that stuff and gather it. So, you know, I don't want to say that, oh, it takes no time at all, because that's not true. It does take time. You have to make an effort, and you have to, you know, really put some effort into it. But it's not as bad as you think. But I'm going to tell you this. If it's a big problem and you're just totally swamped and you just don't have any time, then don't do it. It's not going to work. You're going to get frustrated. We're going to get really frustrated. And we just prefer not to do that. Thanks for asking, though, and I appreciate the, you know, candor bringing that up. Can you speak briefly on marketing to high-end remodelers? We are a K&B supplier that works with homeowners through contractors. That's Kelleen Gordon. Thanks, Kelleen, for asking that question. I'm not 100% sure what you mean with that. You're a supplier that works with homeowners through contractors. Marketing to high-end remodelers, I mean, everything that I've talked about for the entire hour and a half that I've been with you is absolutely exactly what I recommend that high-end remodelers do. It's all about having conviction that you're better. It's about having the identity, communicating with power, precision, passion, getting the website so that it's bulletproof in terms of evidence and social proof and expert testimony in terms of identity and power, precision, passion, and taking the pre-positioning materials, the contractor standards guides, the product reports, the emails, all of that stuff. That's what all remodelers should do. I don't really make a distinction between high-end and lower-end because it's the same process. But if you're a high-end remodeler, you absolutely have to do it, because if you don't, you're going to get killed in the house in the sales meeting because they're expecting a lower price. Okay? If you're a lower-priced guy and you're not as high-end, then, you know, those things aren't necessarily is important, although I still think that they're critical. Okay. Hopefully, Kayleen, that helps. If not, type in a clarifying question and I'll get to it in a minute. Next, do you still offer training to become a marketing consultant that we offered before? If yes, what is the price? That's Mario Ochoa. We do it on an informal basis. We don't have a formal program like we did before. When we did it before, we charged $40,000 for that training, and that's the same price that we still charge now, although we do it on a one-off basis. It's more of an individualized thing. It's actually quite a bit better than we used to do, but nevertheless, you may want to contact us and ask about that in more detail later. Next, do you work with Canadian clients? Well, given the fact that some of my favorite things of all time came from Canada, including Shania Twain, Steve Nash, and the greatness that is known as Rush, absolutely we would work with Canadians. In fact, we give you a Steve Nash, Shania Twain, and Rush discount of $21.12 off. It's not a big discount, but it's $21.12 off. If you're a Rush fan, you know what that means. It was a stupid joke, but the answer to that question is absolutely yes. We work with we love working with Canadians because it's amusing for us to hear them say about instead of about. But either way, yes, we do. Great webinar, very informative. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate the compliment. Can you do this for companies that are not contractors? The answer is yes, we do have a small, but we do have a department in our company that works with non-contractors. In fact, if you go to our website, you'll see something on the, I believe, the right-hand side that said not a contractor. You can click on that, fill out a form, and we'll be in contact with you. That was John Lyons that asked that. We'll make a note and perhaps reach out to you. Next, when a prospect's budget is $15K and you know that it'll cost them $25K, how do you get over that objection? John, the entire webinar was the answer to that question. So I already actually re-summarized it for a person just a minute ago, but everything that I have talked about is the answer to that question. There's no simple, here, do this one thing and it overcomes that objection. It's a confluence of the belief, of the identity, of the website, of the pre-positioning materials, okay? That's what it is. All of those things combined. You've got to do it before you show up. If you wait until the sales meeting to show up, I'm telling you, that is tough. Because now you're trying to take them from point A of the sales spectrum all the way to Z in a little short appointment. What I'd like to do is take them from A to about, element OP before I ever show up, so I only have to take them a shorter distance down that objection and get over that objection. See, if they already have an idea and a feeling that, hey, this is going to probably be on the higher end of my expectations, then when I show up and it in fact is on the higher end of their expectations, they're not surprised, I have a better chance of closing them. So, John, I appreciate your question, but the reality is everything I've talked about for the last hour and 28 minutes is the answer to that question. Next, we're more of a specialty contractors. The theories you presented for us, the theories you presented work for us too, but are your marketing materials flexible? First of all, they're not theories. They're in action. They actually work. But yeah. I don't know what kind of specialty contractor you are, Carol Lee, but yeah, we flex these things all the time for different types of remodeling companies and contractors that aren't exactly in that wheelhouse. Now, if it starts getting a little too far out, we do have a provision where we do a slight upcharge on our pricing because it takes more time and effort for our people to go through and do some research. That's really rare, and the upcharge isn't that tremendous. I think it's a couple $1,000s. So at least have a conversation with us about that, and we can shed more light on that. Next, will you send us a recording? Yes, it'll be emailed out to you, or you can just come back to our website and look at it. Okay, Colleen's back. She says, to clarify, I'm a K&B designer that sells to our existing contractor base. We meet with the homeowners after the contractor has the job. Unfortunately, Kayleen, that really doesn't clarify it all that much for me. But, maybe that's a question that you can, we can have with you one-on-one later where we can get a little bit more back and forth. The next question is from Bill. It says, is the blogging part of the website platform easy to work with? Can copywriters blog for us? Now, we do include 2 blog postings per month with our SEO packages. So, yes, that is included. If you want to get more detailed, then yes, we do have a provision where we create a blog that's in a WordPress. Our websites are not created in WordPress. They're created in custom HTML so that they have more control of making them look awesome. But we do create I can't even talk anymore, a WordPress plugin that allows you to easily update your own blog if you'd like to do that. But to be very, very clear, we do include a minimum of 2 blog postings per month. We do have some packages that include more than 2 blog postings, but we do include 2 blog postings per month with our package that we talked about, our bonus bundle. Next, can you bring a trifold brochure so I can take it back with me? Charles wants to know. He'll see me in San Diego. I'm not sure what trifold brochure you're talking about. I actually don't have a lot of these. I just got electronic ones because we print them and we send them out to our clients, and I don't actually have them, but I can show them to you. Also, if you'll see me in San Diego, Charles, I'll actually show you guys there one of these explainer videos that we've done for an Infinity by Marvin dealer that talks about some of the benefits of Infinity, shows how that window is better, price conditions on that particular window, so that's pretty interesting too. Bill says, great answers, Rick. My name's actually Rich, but I get called Rick about 70% of the time, but you're welcome, Bill. Thanks for participating. Next, Jerry Murte. How do you overcome or deal the image of your subcontractors that may not live up to the quality expectations you have projected? That's an internal thing. You know, if they are consistently not living up to your expectations, you've got to fix that. Now, don't get frustrated with that, and don't get frustrated with that answer, but it is the actual real answer. And here's the reality. Most companies have gone through this type of a situation and a problem before, where you've got contractors or even employees that just aren't up to speed and aren't getting the job done and are letting your customers down and therefore your company down. And this is something that you just have to manage and handle internally. This is more of not a marketing problem, more so a management problem. And sometimes you're trying to go on the cheap and hire these subcontractors. They give you more flexibility, and you may discover that it's just not a feasible way to handle it. So that really is not so much a marketing issue as it is a quality control issue. But I wish you the best of luck in trying to figure that out. I think that's it. We've reached the end of the questions, so thanks for holding on, and thanks more than anything for being on this webinar today. It was fantastic to have you. It was a great topic. Hopefully you got the value, and we'll be back with more webinars later. Check our website. We've got multiple webinars that are recorded. You just go onto our blog. Here, I can even show you how to do that if you want, if I can find that thing. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. So you just come over here and you scroll down here, and on post categories, just go to webinar postings, and you can see all of them posted right on here. This is where we'll post this one. It'll be posted on here tomorrow. We had one for our Triple Play Home Show strategy. We've got one for guerrilla marketing tactics. We had one for it's called a 3-for-1, where we talked about pre-positioning, referrals, and something else. Turning website lookers into buyers. So yeah, they're all right here on the website, so go ahead and look at those. Mario, I appreciate your greeting there. So yeah, we'll see you later. That's it, guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.